Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Valerio. Thank you, Salt. Istanbul is great being here. So, okay. So, I will speak about the Eternal Internet Brotherhood, which I am the organizer, and I wouldn't say curator. It's just I'm organizing and putting together this meeting, summit, residency, retreat, how do you want to call it, every year. So the Eternal Internet Brotherhood started almost as a joke in late 2011. So the artist collective, like PDF, wanted to interview me for a magazine. So they were asking me what would be my dream project. So I started describing, I don't know, I thought spontaneously, I started describing a gathering of internet artists on the ancient island of Delos, which is this place here, and where we would get together, we would make works on the spot while swimming, talking, and camping together. So when I was describing this thing, it was very, very spontaneous writing, things very, very, information, blah, blah, blah. I realized it was something I wanted to do for a very, very long time. So finally, when this interview got published on the magazine, unexpectedly and surprisingly, I started receiving requests. I started receiving requests from people sending me proposals, asking me how this thing would happen. It was not totally, I never expected I would do and realize this project. It was just like a dream project. So, being in Greece, like in 2011, it was really the toughest moment you could have. It was really, we have this crazy financial crisis now for the last 5 years. So asking funding for an art project is totally impossible. So, but strangely, when I was, getting this request and, it felt liberating not to give anybody like an excuse or go ask things, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna make this thing a reality. So I make this project. I named it the Eternal Internet Brotherhood because it was brotherhood in Greek is called adelphotita, and it's a feminine word apparently, and it has also this post-genderism issue. So a brother could be a sister also. So at the same time, the internet was very, very huge, coordinating groups, people, for democratic changes, not only in my country, but also like in the art world or anywhere. So, in regards to the physical space, the ancient island of Delos is really impossible to go there and live because it's a restricted ancient spot, and it's not habitable. Actually, there are many snakes, and it's totally unsafe, and all of the things. So I decided to do it in Anafi, which is not so far away from there. I set up an Indiegogo campaign. Indiegogo is a crowdfunding page where everybody can go and start collecting money for a cause. And we were off. So, as a base, the Eternal Internet Brotherhood started from a network of people who were affiliated mainly online. Most of them were never met before. They only knew each other from the internet, That was their only link. And apparently, at the beginning, most of them, their practice was only existing on the cloud. So when I started having discussions with these people who were really interested, and when I realized that I want to do it, with all this like common vibe I had from these people, when I was organized, it was this escapist and adventurous vibe, but also to connect it also with this community concept before, there was like a vibe towards disconnection. Disconnect from their everyday lethargic working methods and their social monotony. So, in my latest statement, which I will show you later, this is the statement of the campaign funding video I will show you. I use the example of Plato's allegory of the cave, which is a chapter from his book The Republic, where he speaks about the imprisoned subject in the cave, that she should cast her gaze outside of the cave and forget this enclosed reality and the shadows of this reality. So, in our era, I think our cave is our lifestyle, and these shadows this book speaks about are these faulty sides of this virtual life and this virtual mindset that exists. For example, like there is passive consumerism, passive networking, and there is this like uninspired, especially for us, the artists or in general researchers, uninspired research-based work. So I think we over-communicate too much for being totally lonely, or we research so much about something that at the end we lack this experiential thinking and questioning. So it's becoming a very, very superficial situation. Sorry, I forgot the slideshow series. So I think in general our practitioners should forget the city as a habitable environment, and at least for a while, and think about these new ways, because we live like in very, very uncertain times, where this global ongoing impoverishment happens, where look at the education system or the health system. In my country, everything is falling apart. We have all these neoliberal tactics penetrating life. So I think it's more and more like people are just reevaluating existing formats, ways of thinking, and eventually tools. So at the same time, I love nature. I work online and I use technology as a main material and tool in my work. I always want to like work in a very close to a very, very organic place. I live very, very close to the beach, to the sea. So I love it and I want to explore it more. So and I'm also very curious to see these people like me somehow, how they would work surrounded by nature. So I think we should all go back to nature and meet with other people there and disconnect for a little while. So especially for us, the people, the initial group of the Eternal Internet Brotherhood, the Internet artists, it was like almost looking into the Internet from this desolated experience. It's almost like entering into another dimension. So, as I told you, we are people we haven't met before, and it was very, very experimental. It's a big experiment to bring people together from different parts of the world and live together for 10 days in this like, situation. And so apparently it worked. And so while we are there, we work spontaneously with different expressions and ad hoc tools or premeditated, and things that bring together arts, poetry, science, health, well-being, architecture, design, and in general also there are people who are just coming researchers just to see how this thing is evolving. So in the former times, like as we said, we saw very fantastic projects from the late 60s and the mid 70s, like projects like the Global Tools, the Whole Earth Catalog, and in general the Italian avant-gardist movement. These projects brought all these impossible but really visionary projects, and they opened a new chapter, especially for me. It's very important. They opened this dream of technology's dominance. They spoke about the quasi-permanent nomad, freed from labor, and this is how somehow they predicted how this lifestyle would, happen now. So, but also they brought really interesting projects of land art and nature. So now this chapter, I think, is closed, and the fruits of this vision of these people here, they are being reapplied, reconfigured, and remixed with new ideas. And the advent of the internet now, the most immaterial, tool to work with. But also at the same time, it's twisted because the internet is also very material. It's also very, there is a storage somewhere of all the things we all share up there somewhere in a architectural, data center somewhere in the world. So, in the Eternal Internet Brotherhood, we don't abandon technology, but we research and we experiment with these, ideas. So, but also bringing a blend of an old age, ancient wisdom. So, even that our attitudes are born online, we have a tendency now to criticize the internet because it's becoming really dangerous the way it operates now. And if it operates like that, it will cease to expand the cultural commons. It will become like an endless shopping mall, or a tool for surveillance, or just like a tool of superficial knowledge and experience. So I will show you the first two editions that happened first the one in Anafi, and then in Las Cosas in Mexico. So Anafi is this place here that you see. It's a very small island. It's on the cluster of the Cyclades, right here. So in the ancient times, it was affiliated with a lot of mythological stories, but in the Middle Ages, it was a pirate outpost. So it's very metaphysical as a place. It's like being in Mars. There is this huge rock there, but which is like a portal or some gate, like entering the island when you come from the boat. So when we arrived there, we were about 11 people. I chose one of these nudist beaches, and we set up this camp. And so we were about 11 people living there for 2 weeks. Most of us, we were not met before. So I will show you now a few of the things we did there. One of these artists, it's called Amalia Ullman, and she's from Argentina. She came while she was coming to the island. She stopped in Santorini, and she said to somebody to take some photos of her screen prints while she was going in front of webcams, surveillance cameras of tourists on this island, and we were taking photos of her. So she was just like sitting there as a tourist, just, doing nothing, and we were, some people were taking screenshots where she went. Santorini basically is 2 hours from the island where we were. Later, when she came to the island, she wanted to do a workshop of bracelet making. So we all made bracelets, writing the word peace, which I guess you know what it means. Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. That all happened in the camp. This is a poet and a curator, Harry Burke, London-based. So he came to the residency and he started writing poetry about the situation, how he, seeing, meeting new people and stuff. And one night before he left the island, he recited these poems in different parts of the island. Basically, he wanted to do it in a windmill, but there was so much wind, nobody could hear. Then we went to a bar, there was like very much, it was too noisy. This is a work from Priscilla Tea, is a young Italian artist from Milan. And Priscilla is working with painting, so she's working first on computer, then she's doing the painting, and when she came to the Brotherhood, she told me, Angelo, I want to project still images of my paintings on the animating surface of the sea. So immediately the painting became like animation, some sort of like, took some other. So we went, basically this performance was in a fisherman's house, not even house, his like lab where he has his nets and stuff. We use electricity, and in a very, very like, almost, you should take a path to the right there, it was too complicated. But also beautiful, we were like 5 of us. This is an artist that is using the body. This guy came all over. I never knew him. He's Canadian. He's from Vancouver. And he came all over from Vancouver because he read somewhere about the Brotherhood. So he just wanted to come and do this performance with his body. He's actually 26 years old. And to do his 1-minute headstand. So he put his head inside the sand in our nudist beach. So he made this performance there. While he was doing this performance, another artist, Miltos Manetas, was shooting with one hand with his BlackBerry a video, him with the other hand making a series of his invisible drawings while on Vincent's body. Also during the Eternal Internet Brotherhood, I had also some remote contributions from people who some could not make it or some canceled the last minute. So I was in a dialogue with people. So it's also a remote residency. So I was in a dialogue with people. I was going into the village. There was a very, very choppy internet connection, trying to also connect with the artists who could not make it and send material and inspiration so they can create works while we were there. And that's a guy, Anthony Antonellis. He's London-based. It's a video called Simulation of a Feeling. And with all this material I was providing, he made a YouTube video and he uploaded there. An architect, who is also my partner, Andreas Angelidakis, decided to do iPad screenings during sunset of very, very subcultural retrofuturistic films every night during sunset, where he found them in very, very open source libraries and stuff, and we've never seen before. This is like a contribution from a magazine called Janjet, which one of them is a Turkish person called Asli Serbest, and they are based in Stuttgart. So these girls came and they made some series of beach kits or survivalist kits for the island. One of them was this frisbee cursor, and I think they even like made these products somewhere online, and they were sent to Greece when they came, so they did not carry them Also, the Eternal Internet Brotherhood is a project that accepts also like writing, philosophy. It's not only a project that is affiliated with art and stuff. And so this is an essay from Rosa Farkas, who speaks about global economics, feminism, and stuff. So the first one happened in Anafi. This is the second one, which happened in Las Posas, in Mexico, which is like a surrealist park located in on the rainforest mountain, 8 hours by bus from Mexico City. It's up there at the beach. So when I decided to do it there, I mean, I had this fantasy book that had, I said, I want to do it there because all these like structures, these concrete structures have this very, very element of, they look like a bit of a virtual world, the way you see now, a very primitive virtual world on a video game and stuff. So I decided to do it there. Actually, this park was built by a big British collector and a bit of an artist and a poet. He bought this huge piece of land and he built all these structures, which are apparently now are being like eaten by nature. And basically this structure, you go up and literally you can feel like it's moving around and it will fall. At the same time, the park is located in one of the most beautiful locations. It has lagoons, it has rivers, because one big element of the Eternal Internet Brotherhood is also pleasure and fun. You go somewhere which is really, apart from doing something, you can also, just relax and enjoy this, beautiful landscape. So we were camping again. This time it was a bit more upgrade. We had these American Indian teepees next to the park, literally 5 minutes from the park. So every day we were just improvising. Some people were already new. They went to the park the first day, they decided what they were going to do. Some other, they were deciding on the spot. So we were starting every morning to do what we done, and then things were culminating all together, collectively, all the time, with things at night and stuff. One of the projects was this tea ceremony wedding. It's done by my wedding and my cover. They decided to do a symbolic wedding of their relationship, taking inspiration from a very old Japanese ritual, and do it there in one of the inside the park. This is a project by a Greek-Swedish artist called Anastasios Logothetis. He was actually taking each one of us and he was like massaging us. But when he was doing that, he had a podcast hearing about some things about nature, some poetry, some different things. This is me here. We also had the remote contributions. Hans Ulrich Oberst asked me to send him the day of when I conceived the project, so he sent me back this numerology diagram of this date that I conceived the project. And then this is a projection of mine, of one of my online pieces called Monument to Something, that I found this like rundown monument, is a maze inside the park. Another artist that came from Australia, Joe Hamilton, he asked us to discard us all our digital and electronic equipment for one day, and then we put it in the sun, like an installation. This is an artist, Petra portrait. Petra, she's using her body and she's doing like YouTube videos using her face and some other techniques with this special software she's using. And she placed her computer and she had a projection in the park at night. And then also people from the village came there and they started like playing with the software, making effects with their faces. And so one part of the project is like I try to have a half element of the Eternal Internet Brotherhood involving local people, either impromptu or I just found before, like doing my research before I arrived to this place. This is again the Canadian artist. He found a cave inside the park and he did his eternal headstand, which actually lasts 1 minute. This is a remote contribution by an LA-based artist. I was sending images from the park and then he did this like online piece. Another artist from Spain, he found on Google Earth images of this like rundown park and he made his own interpretation of how this thing that could evolve in some sort of architectural utopic suggestion. Again, some similar project from another artist from Portland. Yeah. So, very important is we have also, I have to finish very fast now, we have also impromptu participations in the Brotherhood. For example, this guy was coming with his trailer all the way from Argentina, and he was an astronomer. He was staying in the same place as us, and accidentally he heard about the project and he proposed to me to do an astronomy workshop. So we all collect one night and we saw like all the planets and stuff. I tried to take with the camera photos, but of course it's impossible. So if we don't have time, I'm not going to show the video. I'm just going to finish. How long will it be? So the next Eternal Internet Brotherhood happens in the conflicted but therapeutic area of the Dead Sea. I chose a place which is very close to the Jordan, to Palestine and that, so we are going there. It's not, this information is not correct. And I chose this place because the theme of this year, I have a theme about revolving around body therapies and corporeal survivalism, diminishing as much as computers. And this year I'm not going to involve any remote contribution. Everybody who is coming is going to participate physically, not virtually at all. We will use, I think, one of the main materials will be the salty water of this sea, or the beautiful minerals of the Sodoma mountain, or even the, I don't know, also the heat, which is like 400 meters below the surface of the sea. So, should I show the video? It's 2 minutes. Yeah. So this is the campaign video. I don't have sound. So this is a video I use for the campaign, I use for the crowdfunding to collect money for this project. Because it's totally independent, it doesn't have any sponsor or institution involved. So I use these crowdsourcing platforms to collect money from friends, from strangers on Facebook or Instagram, and I make all these, online announcements, and money are coming just to pay.
Gather in nature to explore special signs of the physical world through data, dreams, feelings, knowledge, light and sounds. This gathering materialized under the banner of the Eternal Internet Brotherhood and already passed from the mythological island of, and now if in Greece, to the rainforest of the Cerealist Park of Las Pozas in Mexico. We become slaves to our clicks and likes. We become stuck on specific modes of thought and behavior, unfocused and distracted. We swim in an uncontrollable flow of information pollution. Each stroke a meaningless and lethargic interaction, a poke here, a favourite there. Through the lack of temptation to the unknown, the biggest global selling merchandise ever is our attention. Plato spoke about the cave. The imprisoned subject in the cave should cast her eye outside the cave and forget the shadows inside. Our screens and our cities have become our caves. It's not just the internet, but all our habits and social compromises combined. Yes, corporate media junk colonize the internet. It's time we start a healing process. Let's reoccupy nature and share horizons. Let's make our own neoliberal, non-economy of sharing nothing and everything. Let's get lost. The upcoming third edition of the Eternal Internet Brotherhood will take place in the politically conflicted, but physically therapeutic, Dead Sea area in Israel, Palestine, the first 10 days of April 2014. Under the guidance of this therapeutic, desolate, conflicted natural setting, we will continue expanding limits of togetherness, and we will work on a new information and emotional interface. The energy of this environment will empower our minds and bodies. In this direct arrow format, we will process ritualistic themes of communication, done with the spirit of conviviality, corporeality and connectivity. We will work freely with different expressions from arts to science to poetry to health well-being, endurance, ultrasound, survival, esoteric laser show spectacular, silent foreverness. The Eternal Internet Brotherhood is an independent, crowd-funded project gathering spectacular. If you give money, it will be much more fun. LOU. In 2012, we imagine a place where artists...
So ending my speech, I have ideas to do it for the next editions. There is a suggestion to do it in Africa, and then maybe Brazil, South America. So there is an ongoing interest from the online world that people are inviting me. They are, giving me their houses or giving me, all this, help for that. So, concluding my speech, I want to say they are under the new schemes on internet governance and its capitalization. It's sad to see some countries putting barriers and making all these regional walls on the internet. As for example, here Turkey is a very, very anti-internet government. So there is an ongoing trend also in the world to make the internet regional and not making open source to everybody, also using it as a survival tool. So for me, the Eternal Internet Brotherhood is a tool to bypass these networks and meet with people and places open sourcely. So I would call this as a physical browsing, or to discover more humanistic and ethnological aspects of contemporary life. Especially, I'm very interested in peripheries. I don't like metropolitan places. So I want to trace these good cultural traces of the internet, where it brings together people, and it's also an ideological tool. I think the internet should always be an unresistible brother. Thank you.